Today we talk NFTs, and with me I have Jack Lu, CEO of MagicEden. MagicEden is the main marketplace for NFTs on Solana. So if you are an artist or a creator or a trader, you might want to check it out what this marketplace can offer to you. But before we go into the interview, remember that I'm not a financial advisor and all the content here is for informational purposes only. Hi, Jack, how are you?
Hi, very well, thanks. Thanks for having me on, Steffi.
Well, listen, it's such a pleasure to have you on the show. I really want to talk about MagicEden, which is, the main NFT marketplace for Solana. And I was just looking at some data from Dune Analytics that are showing that over 90% of all NFT transactions on Solana currently take place on MagicEden. So how you managed to become so successful?
Well, thank you so much. Yeah. Um, well, I think it's a pretty privileged position that we're in right now to have 95% market share on the Solana NFT trading space. Um, I think we got to where we are today, primarily through a couple of main factors. Number one, it's with the support of the community, right? So we're a marketplace and a platform that is known for really deep two-way engagement with the community. So we started things like a DAO where we would invite the community member to come and have their say and have their vote on certain platform decisions on Magic Eden. And I think that created a really strong relationship between us and our users. We've been very grateful to have their support. And the second main reason for why we became so big on Solana is I think a really good mix of skill sets for our founding team. So we have four founders for Magic Eden. Myself, Joshin, our chief operating officer, who came from Coinbase and DYDX, so one of the largest DeFi exchanges, and Sydney, our CTO, who was engineer number two at Uber Eats, and then worked in Facebook AI, and Josie, our chief engineer, who was also an early Uber engineer, and also came from Facebook. Myself, I came from FTX, one of the crypto exchanges, and previously worked at Google. So the four of us, we had some really strong experience in crypto exchanges, and then we also had some really strong experience working in consumer marketplaces like Uber Eats. And if you think about what an NFT marketplace is, it's a little bit like a mix of both, right? It's like a crypto exchange for NFT assets, but the product then really feels like a consumer marketplace. So I think we were able to bring some of our skills and experiences to grow Magic Eden.
So if we talk a little bit about NFTs on Solana, because many people in the crypto sphere, maybe they don't know, but NFTs on Solana, they are as popular as NFT on Ethereum in OpenSea. But also, many newbie to the crypto space, they always think, okay, NFT, they are either on Ethereum or Polygon, and where on Solana, basically there is this bubbling market that is getting more market shares as it develops, which is amazing. Why that is happening?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting question, right? I'll say there's probably a couple of reasons. Um, number one, uh, number one, for us to pick Solana as an ecosystem for NFTs, that was a very intentional choice. The main key reason for that is we thought, NFTs is a new Lego block on the internet, right? And it's very, very new. And we think the use cases that NFTs can enable has not even been invented yet. So today we're only seeing like version 0.1 of what NFTs are. So we wanted to go to an ecosystem where the cost of experimentation and the cost of trying something is just much, much lower. And that would allow creators to really blossom and use their creativity as much as possible. And of course, Solana is one of the key chains that have those kind of properties, and they started out very early and demonstrated the low gas fees, fast transaction times, high throughput, they demonstrated those properties really early. I think the second really key reason is that Solana, the foundation itself, has made a really big bet into NFTs. We work very closely with the with Solana Foundation as well as this entity called Metaplex, which creates NFT technical standards on Solana, and it's really clear how much support they're putting behind NFT technology, NFT standards, and NFT creators and users in the ecosystem. And I think having the support of the foundation at that level has been really helpful to helping Solana grow this NFT ecosystem. And of course, I think NFTs just caught the cultural moment a little bit, right? Like last year around Q1, Q2 last year, NFTs was what everyone was talking about. Basically, celebrities were trying it. We obviously on Solana got a little bit of a tailwind from all the celebrities coming onto ETH NFTs, which was great as well.
Yeah, I guess that now all the attention is on the utility of those NFTs in the metaverse. So is there anything that you can share that maybe MagicEden is working with the Solana Foundation?
Yeah, I think we collaborate with the Solana Foundation a lot of a lot of technical projects where we are super close to NFT users, so NFT collectors, NFT creators, and we will pass those insights back to the foundation on how to develop the protocol. But to your question about NFT utility, right? One area that we are super excited about at MagicEden is gaming, and we're very proud to say MagicEden is where the vast majority of gaming NFTs on Solana is being traded today. I think it's 92% of all gaming NFTs on Solana is being traded on MagicEden. And we launched our gaming product line, Eden Games, about a month ago. And the reason we're super bullish on gaming NFTs is, buying digital assets like in-game items, in-game merchandise, that's a very, very well proven user behavior in the gaming space already. That's a key part of their business model for the last decade or so. And I think NFTs as a new, more like supercharged primitive for them to have these kind of in-game items will be a really natural way to introduce new folks and mainstream adoption into NFTs and NFT technology. So we're super bullish on that part of utility and that category of NFTs.
How are you dealing with interoperability?
You mean across chains or?
Yeah, I mean across metaverses, because being as an NFT, it would be good to be able, as a users of an NFT, it would be great to be able to use your assets in different metaverses. And then obviously the other question is interoperability cross chain. So Solana is not such an easy integration to perhaps whatever is the Ethereum ecosystem, but we still see value in be a compatible chain that user can just move over in the most easiest smooth way.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So to be honest, I think the space is pretty early. So we're also, we're also just trying to follow the direction of the wind and trying to keep an open mind about how the space will develop in terms of interoperability. So I don't know if we have super special insights to share around that, but I would say kind of two things. Number one, around interoperability between collections or between metaverses or between games, right? I think a lot of that really comes down to the creator itself. We are a marketplace and we see our mission as enabling creators, right? So we want to help them have easier ways of reaching their audience and have easier ways of enabling commerce of their NFTs, like trading, buying, selling, auctioning, maybe rentals later on, this kind of stuff. So we see our mission as building the tools that will enable those creators to have commerce on those NFTs. And what's more interesting, I think, for us from an interoperability between games or between metaverse perspective is, if the creators have that vision to create interoperability. On Solana, we see some small shoots, like some emerging behaviors of that. But I think obviously the more exciting trends is on Ethereum with like Yuga Labs buying the punks, and of course they have BAYC and a lot of these really famous metaverse collections, and they're releasing a game like the other side and so on. I think some of uh, those creators could be seen as pioneers for other ecosystems to draw inspiration from. So that's kind of around the interoperability between metaverses. Interoperability between chains, I think, is relatively new concept, but and a lot of the barriers previously was technology, right? Like the interoperable bridges between different chains was pretty complicated, and especially didn't apply super well to NFTs. But right now we're seeing some pretty exciting technology developments like Layer Zero, Wormhole, these kind of new protocols, where we're watching the space very closely, but we're also thinking like, hey, we transact like billions of dollars of NFTs. So we want to make sure those underlying technologies are very robust first before we, really integrate with them into production level. So that's kind of our perspective here, but definitely a very interesting trend.
Okay, so let's maybe dive deep on minting and on getting your NFT for sale on your platform. So let's say that I'm a creator and okay, I decided to go on Solana and I'm going to use MagicEden as the marketplace.
Hmm.
Tell me how easy is for me to get onboarded.
Yeah, it's super straightforward. So today um, we have a product called Creator Portal, which is a self-service way for creators to upload their works onto MagicEden for sale. And the key differentiation in the way that we think about our creator portal is that we allow all of the NFTs to be created on chain before they even are sold. And that's pretty different to the Ethereum ecosystem where a lot of works are not minted before they are sold. And the reason we want to do that is we want to make sure that creators have the ability to say, hey, this is my original creation, it's on the blockchain, and it's there, it's real, right? So we have this product called Creator Portal, which is completely self-service and it allows creators to self-upload. We have another product called Launchpad, which is one of the first. Magic Eden was the first on the Solana ecosystem to create a product like that. And it's effectively a product that helps creators launch their collections with a lot of marketing and drives a lot of hype to the initial collection itself. And very proud to say that right now, I think we have 25% market share of the primary issuance of NFTs on Solana. We have around 25% market share right now. And that product is a white glove service product where, for a creator, for like a digital artist, we want them to have the comfort of, hey, just be worried about the creativity of your work, right? That's what is your life's passion. You shouldn't have to worry about the nitty gritty of blockchains and all of this like complexity. So the Launchpad white glove service is to say, hey, if you are a really innovative creator and you have some originality in your work, just partner with us and we will do all of the technology, a lot of the marketing for you to help and make sure that your work is showcased properly to the ecosystem. But you as the artist, all you have to do is really push on the creativity and originality of the work. So that's the other service that we provide.
One of the issue of NFT ownership or any digital asset ownership is about what do you own, what kind of right do you own, and most of the time is down to the marketplace to define the term of use of the platform and the right that the buyer gets when it buys an NFT. What is Market Eden approach here? How do you clarify what people own once they purchase an NFT?
Um, Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I think that's not really the way that we look at it at Magic Eden. Like, we don't try to become a centralized arbiter of like rights. The framework that we have at Magic Eden is that the NFT is a peer-to-peer sale. We are a decentralized app, right? So it's really the seller selling something to the buyer, and then we just happen to be a smart contract platform that allows the seller to sell to the buyer. So we don't really classify and we don't arbitrate what rights the buyer is buying. It's up to the seller to say, here are the rights that you are buying, and the information is surfaced on Magic Eden, and therefore the buyer needs to be like okay with that, right? So that's one of the core tenets for Magic Eden there.
I think that's a very interesting and in a way a very good answer, because most of the conversation out there is actually what do you own, what the marketplace should be disclosing or be transparent about, where actually it's not your responsibility. It's about the seller, that what he wants to sell, and the buyer what he can buy from the seller. So I think it's very interesting to hear that type of answer from you, and it kind of resonates with me. It makes real sense. Talking about risks and challenges, obviously security is can be a big problem for NFT marketplaces. How you are protecting your users, what you are trying to do to deal with that kind of risk?
Yeah, like you mean like hacking and like phishing and stuff. Yeah, that's a really, really important question. And the way I think about it is, like I think first of all, security risks and phishing, hacking, and so on, that's not just a problem for Magic Eden and endemic to NFTs. I feel like that's a problem that's kind of pretty common to crypto in general, right? Whether it's fungible tokens, exchanges, DeFi, and now NFTs. So, we need to do better as an overall industry across many different players to lift the bar and ensure there's user protection. On Magic Eden specifically, we take user safety really really seriously, and the way that we kind of think about it is there is some it's like a multi-layered approach. So there is some platform things that we can do, some processes. So we make sure that all of our smart contracts, all of our technologies are security audited by some extremely credentialed security firms. So we use the same security firm as the Solana Foundation itself, like the people who are auditing the Solana like blockchain code. At the same time, though, it's uh, this is a prevalent behavior in all of cryptocurrency, where because you're exchanging value across the internet, there will always be bad actors in some ways. And it doesn't just happen in the NFT space, but it also happens in like the DeFi space and so on. So we do a lot of user education through our content hub on Magic Eden that teaches users about how to protect yourselves within the ecosystem, because there is only so much that we can do in a decentralized app where we don't have custody of your funds to help users really protect themselves. So there is a whole process that we do, which is security audits and so on. There is user education that we do on our platform. And the last thing I would say in general is, our view has always been, because the space, the crypto in general, the space, a lot of, especially for decentralized apps, it's about self-sovereignty, self-custody, and so on. It's inevitable that there is, that users, because they carry their own funds, they may get phished or they may get hacked, or like, bad actors are targeting them specifically. So it's really, really important for them to also take an element of caution and wariness themselves, right? To protect themselves. So that's generally the kind of the layered approach that we take to looking at security and trust in the NFT space.
Okay. Looking ahead, what do you see being the next for NFTs?
Yeah, it's
And and
awesome.
also how Magic Eden is positioning itself. I understand that you are, investing in the gaming space, but how, if we think about NFT of the future or NFT even in 2 years, where do you see the space going?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Pretty tough one. I think like um, how Magic Eden thinks about it is. we do have our own hypotheses, but at the same time, we try to keep a very open mind about how things are going to develop. And that twofold approach is really core to how we operate. Because if you think about it, like 2 years ago, if we said, oh, profile photos was going to be the hottest category in NFTs, it would have been completely impossible to predict. Like no one would have predicted that would be the category. And I think we have to take an element of that kind of humility in thinking about future trends as well. You know, crypto continues to surprise everyone. But for us, we think the main category that we are betting on is gaming, because we think that kind of user behavior already exists in today's world. There is a massive market of gamers, and we think NFTs can provide fundamental utility to gaming publishers and gamers alike. So we are positioning ourselves really hard there. And in general, we try not to spread ourselves too thin. We want to go really deep into a category and really serve those users well and serve those pain points well. But at the same time, you know, like outside of art, outside of gaming, there does seem to be some other categories that's taking off. Like on Ethereum, music NFTs with Royal.io, catalog, you know, those kind of new NFT categories seems to be catching on. And we're also, watching that space a little bit. But gaming and art is usually where we play, and we also try to keep an open mind about new things that might surprise us going forward.
Okay, Jack, thank you so much for coming on the show. Anybody that is interested in trying MagicEden, where should they go?
Yeah, they can check us out on MagicEden.io, and our Twitter is super active as well. So at MagicEden on Twitter, that's where you can get the latest updates and news, and also have a chance to engage with us as a company. We love having a two-way dialogue with the community and users. So welcome everyone to check the site out and check out Twitter.
Is there anything exciting that is happening for the community or within the community in the next weeks, months? So maybe we can kind of tease the people to try out.
We have a lot of exciting launches. We launch new features. We launch new features every day. We're making some pretty big changes to Launchpad right now, which is a way for users to engage with our creators and basically access the creation for the first time. I don't want to spoil the surprise, so I would rather folks follow us and stuff. But if you think about what makes a really good mint, it's like the hype, right? Like the excitement of seeing a lot of people talk about it, and then you feel this frenzy, and we want to bring some of that hype to MagicEden. And basically have users experience that kind of emotional excitement, emotional uplift when they use the core product itself. So we have some new ideas around that, and we're pretty excited to roll that out in the next couple of weeks.
How big is the community of MagicEden?
Right now, I think our Discord is maybe 170,000 members. In general, our daily active users is around like 30, 40,000 or so. Monthly active users around 500,000, like in terms of people who trade. But we're getting around like 20 million visits a week right now as well. Yeah, in terms of.
Okay, Jack. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
All right, no worries. Thank you so much, Steffy, and appreciate the opportunity to talk about MagicEden.